method or strategy to offset some of the events or a repetition of the events that have taken place here in Los Angeles recently. We have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man to go nuts if he cash you. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
Queen.
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
I'm
Queen.
getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation.
Queen.
All right. All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. All right, so let's get ready to get into it. Also, don't forget to double check and make sure you're still subscribed to the Queen's channel, especially if you haven't been receiving the notifications. All right, with that all being said, hello, LL C-Torp, or C, I think that's C-Torp. Okay, Desmond is in the virtual building. Hollywood, all right, let's get into a G from the land. Chill with Ronnie. Glitter Stars is here. Above all that drama. All right, Nessie X, I see you. Shout out to all my loyal royals. Everyone tuned into the Queen. Y'all know I love me some you. And a big shout out to my moderators for putting in work. Now, before we get started, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes. And trust me, we have a lot to get through. So I don't want to, I tried to not be too late today. Okay? All right, here we go.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. And also, you can purchase it at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she sells beard oil as well. Okay, now let's get into it. Let's get into it. If you all didn't see my TikTok that I posted last night, honey, This black man literally had to save wanton supremacist and January 6th rioter Jake Lang from an angry crowd at a pro-ICE rally in Minneapolis. He was out there talking crazy. We're going to get into it. Okay, we're going to get into it, but first, it's not just us. Hold on, that was a video I was uploading for you all to hear. Now, before we get into that, let's get into this, because they say Putin, or Russia, not Putin necessarily, but Russia is mocking NATO. Trump is threatening NATO. Okay, everything is in an uproar. There's an investigation launched into Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. All right, so let's get into all of it. Now, first, I'm going to start things off with a word from Dr. King. It is his celebration day. So let's start off with that. All right. Also, we're going to be hearing from Al Bobblehead Sharpton. Okay, so please pay attention. All right, here we go, beloveds. Like and share. Thank you in advance.
It's all right to tell a man to lift himself by his own bootstraps, but it is a cruel jest to say to a bootless man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. Poor people are forced to pay more for less, living in conditions day in and day out where their whole area is constantly drained without being replenished. It becomes a kind of domestic colony. And the tragedy is so awful. These 40 million people are invisible because America is so affluent, so rich, because our expressways carry us away from the ghetto. We don't see the poor. This is America's opportunity to help bridge the gulf between the haves and the have-nots. The question is whether America will do it. There's nothing new about poverty. What is new is that we now have the techniques and the resources to get rid of poverty. But the real question is whether we have the will. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But if a man doesn't have a job or an income, he has neither life nor liberty and the possibility for the pursuit of happiness. He merely exists. We have difficult days ahead in the struggle for justice and peace. But I will not yield to a politic of despair. I'm going to maintain hope. God grants that we will be that David of truth set out against the Goliath of injustice, the Goliath of neglect, the Goliath of refusing to deal with the problems, and go on with a determination to make America the truly great America that it is called to be. And this magnificent development, if we will but do it, we will bring about a new day of justice and brotherhood and peace. And that day the morning stars will sing together, and the sons of God will shout for joy. God bless you.
All right, there was a word from Dr. King. With that being said, happy birthday to the late great Dr. King. And with that being said, Al Sharpton says that basically Dr. King's message and the things that he did are all being undone. And you know, that is absolutely true. That's absolutely true. So with that all being said, let's go to Al Sharpton and hear what he has to say. I don't want to listen to him too long, so hopefully he'll wrap it up. Okay, I'm just curious to hear what he has to say. I haven't listened to it, but happy MLK Day to everyone. All right, let's get into it. And just last week, his daughter, Dr. Bernice King, came out and called for peaceful protesting in the wake of Renee Nicole Good losing her life. She also condemned ICE. Okay? With that all been said, let's go ahead and get it started.
want to make sure to spend a moment on today's other meeting, an important meeting. It is, of course, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. You're in Washington. Tell us how you plan to commemorate this day, but also just what it means. And I feel like it takes on an added resonance in some ways. You know, this might be a harder day because of everything that is happening right now and just the scenes that we're seeing across our country.
Well, it does take on a different type of focus today. Annually, our National Action Network, which I head, has a breakfast in Washington, the nation's capital, co-chaired by Martin Luther King III and Andrea Waters King, who head the Drum Major Institute, and both of them are here with me. And we honor people that have kept the dream alive. Eric Holder, former Attorney General, is one of our honorees this morning. Then I fly to New York and do the New York National Action Network Public Forum. The governor, the mayor, and others asked to come, and they'll be there this afternoon to talk about what they're doing to keep the dream alive. I've never seen, though, in the years that we've had this holiday, and I remember when Mrs. King and Stevie Wonder and others really rallied to get this holiday, and Ronald Reagan as president signed it. In all of those years, and I was a youth director in the King movement, starting with the year he was killed, I've never seen the civil rights and human rights things that Dr. King fought for at such risk. Not only are we seeing what we're seeing in Minneapolis, active on the ground, we are seeing the Supreme Court weighing on whether to take out Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which was a bedrock legislation coming out of the King movement. We're seeing DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion taken away, which was part of and the offspring from the Civil Rights Act of '64. So as we celebrate Dr. King, they are dismantling what Dr. King stood for. And many of us are saying that this King Day and what message it brings is more important than it's ever been since it's been a federal holiday. In fact, we're wondering if they're going to try to make this the last federal holiday. They've already stopped under this president, Donald Trump, where you can't go to the national parks you used to free. If you want to bring your family, you bring it free.
Yes, for those of you who tuned in for that broadcast, I told you all that weeks ago, you can no longer get into the national parks free for MLK Day. But however, you can get in free when it's Trump's birthday, I do believe. Isn't that something? But let's continue.
Free on King Day, MLK Day, and Juneteenth. He stopped that, but he kept Flag Day, which happens to be his birthday. You can go celebrate Trump Day for free. Martin Luther King Day, you'll have to pay today.
Just happens to be his birthday. And we should also note, Reverend Sharpton wrote a beautiful essay about Dr. King that you can read in today's edition of The Tea, the Morning Joe newsletter. Subscribe so you can.
No thanks, I'll pass. I don't need to read anything that little old Al Sharpton's bobblehead self wrote. Okay? I don't need it. So anyway, Sister said Al Sharpton is a money man. Can't take him seriously. Okay. I absolutely agree. All right. Salute, Goddess Queen, Goddess Ahmadiyyah and Loyal Brothers. I have been enlightened on the word, Queen. I'm not enlightened, beloved. Okay, so now let's get into it because they say Russia is mocking NATO. All right. Calling Trump Big Daddy. As if Trump has sunned them all and put them all in check, and they're afraid to do anything other than what he says. I want y'all to pay attention. Let's get into it. Like stuff, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. It's very important that you like the video. Okay? If you don't like the video, that's fine. But if you are enjoying the commentary on this channel, please, please, please like the video. That helps to keep us in the algorithm. Okay, here we go.
Russia has rubbed salt into Europe's wounds by warning European leaders to back off amid U.S. President Donald Trump's push to take over Greenland. Moscow openly mocked Europe, cautioning it not to provoke the daddy, a thinly veiled reference to Trump, after the U.S. president slapped 10% tariffs on 8 European nations, including Germany, the United Kingdom, and France. A senior Russian official has entered the Greenland standoff, not with diplomacy, but derision. Kirill Dmitriev, a Kremlin envoy and close figure in Russia's foreign negotiations, publicly warned Europe to stop provoking U.S. President Donald Trump. His message was blunt, personal, and designed to sting. In a post aimed directly at European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, Dmitriev urged the EU to recall its soldiers from Greenland. "Do not provoke the daddy," he wrote. Dmitriev sharpened the threat further, framing Trump's tariffs as a per-soldier penalty. 1% per European soldier sent to Greenland, he claimed. Trump's response has already begun. The U.S. president announced sweeping tariffs on imports from 8 European countries, including Germany, France, the UK, and Denmark, tying them directly to Europe's military posture on Greenland. 10% now, 25% by June. European leaders have rejected the framing outright. Ursula von der Leyen and European Council President Antonio Costa warned the tariffs could trigger a downward spiral in Atlantic relations. They insisted the Greenland exercises were pre-coordinated, defensive, and aimed solely at Arctic security, not provocation. On the other hand, Trump is unmoved. He has called Europe's Greenland deployments a very dangerous game, arguing that U.S. ownership of Greenland is essential for national security and the rollout of his proposed Golden Dome missile defense system. Behind the rhetoric lies a deeper fracture. Europe relies heavily on U.S. military power, logistics, and deterrence. A direct clash would force rapid rearmament, something many EU states are unprepared to finance. At the same time, backing down risks exposing alliance weakness.
Right. Now, with that all being said, I find it so interesting. So they're going in on NATO. And, here's the thing. Some people think that Trump is actually trying to get rid of NATO because he has come out with this peace plan, which I find to be absolutely egregious. I want y'all to pay attention, honey. Trump has come up with yet another grift, okay? He has come up with another grift. Let's talk about that for just a second, because he's got this peace plan idea and talking about the countries are going to have to pay him $1 billion every 3 years, I believe. Oh, so let's talk about that for a second, honey, because I found this out this morning. I'm like, what is he doing now? Always trying to find a way to put money in his pockets, okay? While the rest of us are out here struggling, trying to make ends meet, groceries high as hell. He hasn't gone down or, helped the economy in any way as he told us he would with his lying self. Okay, so now listen to this. So they say they're talking about this comprehensive plan. Hold on, is this what I'm looking for? Hold on, beloveds. Hold on. This is the wrong thing. Hold on. And he's made himself the chairman. Okay, here it is right here. Let's talk about this. $1 billion. Is he out of his mind? This is nefarious. Trump's $1 billion board piece. That's what they call it. Okay, so the new entity has a global remit and a steep price for a permanent seat. Let's talk about it. This is y'all's president. Now, imagine you're the president of a mid-sized country and you're offered a permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council. But the only condition is you have to pay the Secretary General of the United Nations $1 billion. Now, this is something like what Donald Trump is now offering world leaders. You see, the U.S. president has sent letters of invitation to various heads of governments to join a new board of peace, which he will be the chair. Now, the organization was envisioned as part of the United Nations-backed effort for the restructuring and transitional governance of Gaza. But the new board's charter, details of which have not been previously reported, appears to have the board of a global remit, according to a copy we reviewed, they say. And the price of a permanent position on the board is very steep. Okay, do y'all hear this? $1 billion? $1 billion. and you have to pay this. We already know Trump's going to make sure much of this money goes into his pocket, okay? So with that all being said, and you have to pay this for a permanent seat. Now, but let's continue. So they say, oh my God, are you serious? Hold on, beloveds. Hold on. Hold on. Is this going to let me see the rest? Give me just a second. I think they want me to sign in or something. Yeah, hold on. They want me to sign in, beloveds. Hold on for just a second. To keep reading. Okay, so here we go. So Donald Trump's peace plan primarily refers to his recent multi-phase initiative for Gaza, moving from ceasefire to demilitarization, technocratic governance by a Palestinian committee led by Abdel Hamid Shak, and extensive reconstruction supported by an international stabilization force known as ISF, and a board of peace with international members aiming for a terror-free zone. Okay, so what do y'all think about this? What do y'all think about this? I find it absolutely egregious that Trump's even able to do such things. Like, this is all crazy. And, we're still waiting to see what Congress is going to do. We're still waiting to see what they're going to do, which is likely nothing. Now, they go on to say that the charter, which the U.S. has sent to these countries that are invited to participate, says that Trump will have the right to decide who aspires to join the club and when and where their meetings and votes will be held. He will also have the final say on the decisions of the board, described in a draft as an entity to promote stability, to restore dependability and lawful governance, and secure enduring peace in areas affected or threatened by conflict. Now, so here's the thing: if you're trying to get into this board or get on this board or whatever, Trump gets to decide if he's going to let you in, and he'll likely do so based upon your vote. If you agree with things that he wants, then that's fine. But if not, well, he's absolutely not going to entertain you. And so this just reeks of corrupt government leaders, or these, not government leaders, but corrupt leaders of countries, basically, because I'm pretty sure that the only people who would go for this would be people who are as nefarious as Trump. Okay, so they can all be dictators. Now, they say among the many leaders who have received an invitation are King Abdullah of Jordan and Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. Giorgia Meloni, Italy's Prime Minister, has made public her intention to join. And Mark Carney, the Canadian Prime Minister, will also accept, according to Canadian media. That's interesting because I read a report this morning that Canada basically said that they're willing to go to war with the United States if they take Greenland. Okay, if they try to take Greenland. So the U.S. draft indicates that there are 3 states. That when 3 states have approved the charter, the project will officially begin. Now, Trump said in a recent interview with Reuters that the Board of Peace will address other conflicts when it is resolved, or when it has resolved the one in Gaza, where Israeli gunfire has killed 464 people since the start of the October truce. And this is according to the Gaza Health Ministry. For now, the priority is the Gaza Strip. Now, a White House representative told Bloomberg, on the condition of anonymity, that countries can join the Board of Peace at no cost for 3 years, but that their stay on the committee will depend on Trump. If countries pay $1 billion during the first year of the project, they will be guaranteed permanent membership. That money, he added, will be used for the reconstruction of Gaza. Are y'all listening to this? Are y'all listening to this? How is it free for 3 years, but the first year, if you pay $1 billion, you can have a permanent membership. Now, the Board of Peace was first touted in the 20-point plan that Washington devised in September to end the conflict in Gaza, and which led to the current fragile truce in the enclave. Now, this initial plan, which seeks to create a transitional model of governance that excludes Hamas, and it anticipates the establishment of a Palestinian technocratic committee in charge of the day-to-day life of Gaza and supervised by the board, which would be headed and chaired by Trump. Now, the implementation of that part of the plan has gained momentum. On January the 14th, Palestinian factions, including Hamas, agreed to create the Technocratic Committee, which will be made up of Palestinians and will occupy the lowest rung of the new Gaza administrative ladder. A day later, Trump announced that the Board of Peace had been created. Now, the statement did not include the identity of its members, which must be the heads of state, but boasted that it would be the most prestigious ever formed. All right, y'all heard that, right? Okay, you're right. Soul Sister says, sounds like a gang to me, Queen, running the world for money. Exactly, right? What is this, a mob syndicate? An organized crime syndicate? Is that what it is? Raking in millions? This is all so nefarious, okay? At the end of the day, but this is what sadly some people voted for. And now those people are mad at Black people because we're not entertaining the BS. So now let's talk about it. Let's talk about Jake Lang. Do y'all know who Jake Lang is? Well, I'm so glad you asked. You see, Jake Lang is somebody who was pardoned by Trump for being a whole rioter for January the 6th. Okay, and he's a wanton supremacist, can't stand Black people. And in fact, he thinks there should be a race war. Okay, low down devil, but a Black man had the audacity to save him. Honey, I would have left him sitting right there and watched it all go down and ate my popcorn, okay, and drank a soda, which I don't even drink sodas, but at the end of the day, I'd have drank one for that occasion. So let's go. Let's get into this. Now, with that all being said, here's the thing that I also noticed. This Black man saved him from the melee, helped him to be whisked away and all of that. But Fox News didn't say anything about that Black man because we know they don't like Black people because they're clearly racist. But what Fox News did talk about was the German woman, okay, the white woman whose name is Day Goche, who Jake Lang had to jump into her vehicle. But let's get into it. I'm going to share my TikTok for those of you who missed it. I posted this late last night on as a short. This is all a hot mess, honey. I want y'all to pay attention. And you know what I'm betting? You know what I'm betting money on, you beloveds? I guarantee you that the Black Panther Party for self-defense, shall I say the fraudulent Black Panther Party for self-defense, let's make that clear. I bet they are so upset that they didn't get this opportunity. I bet they're saying, damn it, we could have really gone out there and saved him. And then we'd be all over the news because I think they're just a whole bunch of, they're clout chasers. And like I said, sent by the government, okay? I bet they think this would have been a great look for them. Sadly, to me, it's not a great look for anybody that looks like me to be saving this wanton supremacist devil who sat up there and was calling for a whole race war. Okay, this Black man who did it, I'm not going to go in on him because he's maybe just a person with a good heart, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It just reeks of raccooning. That's what it just reeks of for me. Raccooning, okay, of the highest order. But let's continue. 6th rioter Jake Lang. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Ahmadiyyah Shakur. January the 6th rioter Jake Lang, who was pardoned by Trump, was at a pro-ICE rally in Minneapolis, and he was chased through the streets by people who didn't like what he had to say. Let's get into it. Before all this happened, he was down there with a bullhorn calling for a race war. He was also talking about burning the Quran. And then he and his cronies were all blasting Ice Ice Baby and saying that the immigrants were trying to replace him and his people. Okay, please pay attention. Now, despite all of his hateful rhetoric, it was a person of my skin tone, okay, a man of my own skin tone that helped him to flee. Okay, please pay attention. Just go. Okay, so this man is clearly better than I am because I honestly wouldn't have helped him to flee. And in fact, I probably would have turned my head and just looked the other way. But, this man found the reason to help him, which is so ironic. Okay, this man's calling for a race war and someone that he's speaking against helps him to flee. The irony. Okay, please pay attention. He also jumped into the vehicle of two women who didn't even know him. Okay, that's how desperate he was to get away. Now, though the women said that they don't agree with his talking points or his ideology, they went ahead and helped him as much as they could. One of the women shared her story. Her name is Degocha. She says when he hops into the car, they didn't recognize him. And she was like, who the F are you? She says the only commentary that he would say is like, Trump saved his life and that he was a bad boy. And it's like the cringiest thing I think I've actually ever heard anybody say in my life. They then parked and Jake Lang stepped out before getting into another vehicle. Equally ironic is that when he got to the hospital to have his injuries treated, it was a Somalian nurse that had to tend to him. Okay, please pay attention. Now, is any of this going to change the way Jake views people who look like me? I doubt it, because I'm sure there's been other people who look like me at some point in his life that have also extended kindness to him. He wants to be hateful because that's just who he is and how he chooses to be. Please pay attention. I don't condone violence unless it's in defense of yourself or someone else. So they shouldn't have attacked him, though they didn't like what he was saying. We all have a right to freedom of speech. But I personally am not going to risk my life and safety for someone who thinks the way that he does. That's just what it is. Please pay attention. Now, the man who helped him to escape came out and spoke about why he did so.
It shows you again that I don't have to lie, but I move off love and unity. And that's how Jesus walked. If y'all Christians, that's how Yahweh walked. If y'all Africans and y'all roots, Yahweh walked just showing love regardless of what somebody did.
This young man clearly asked himself, what would Jesus do? And so he did what he thought Jesus would do. As for me, when it comes to people with the mindset of Jake Lang, the only thing I have to say is try Jesus. Don't try me. Please pay attention. Because I would never. Honey, the queen could never. All right, I wish I would, honey. This racist demon would have gotten his arse beat all to the pits of hell for all I would have cared, honey. I'd have been sitting there laughing, eating popcorn like this is what you ordered, sir. Okay, this is what you ordered. All right. And like I said, Fox News reported on the white woman from Germany who helped him. She really didn't want to. He just jumped his butt in their car. Okay, he just jumped his butt in their car. She's like, who the F are you? Okay, they mentioned that lady, but they didn't say a darn thing about the black man, honey, who helped. Of course, I wouldn't expect them to. But at the end of the day, sir, I understand you may want to be a good person and be humane and all of that. Now, Malice said maybe he didn't realize who Jake was. Oh, I'm pretty sure he knew who he was, beloved. He may not have known that he was a January 6th rioter, but he darn sure had to know that he was a wanton supremacist because Jake was out there on those steps, surrounded by all those folks with the whole bullhorn, playing Ice Ice Baby, like I said, and then also shouting about the need for a race war. Okay, the need for a race war. So definitely he knew who that man was. And he heard it all. But meantime, the Pentagon puts troops on standby for possible Minneapolis deployment. Okay, let's get into it. It's all going down. It's all going down, family. And I'm going to tell you like this. At the end of the day, people can get as mad as they want. They can say whatever the hell they want. You cannot shame us into doing what you want us to do. Okay? For the people in the back that are trying to say, black people, why aren't y'all out here? We helped y'all. Let me tell y'all, this white man tried to shame black people, tried to guilt us into coming out there talking about how they've defended us and this and that and the third. We're going to get into that because I'm going to tell you my thoughts on what he had to say.
1,500 active duty soldiers to be ready for possible deployment to Minnesota amid a major immigration enforcement operation. That's according to two defense officials. They say 2 infantry battalions from the Army's 11th Airborne Division in Alaska are on prepared to deploy status. One official says the troops could be sent if President Trump invokes the Insurrection Act, which allows active duty forces to act as law enforcement. Trump recently threatened to use that law, then said there was no need, at least right now. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has urged the president not to do it. Meanwhile, the Wall Street Journal is highlighting the pressure ICE officers are under to make daily arrest quotas. Citing ICE officials, the paper reports agents are expected to take into custody 3,000 people nationwide each day. That daily benchmark works out to about 1 million arrests in a year. The Journal states, quote, though ICE has never come close to meeting that daily goal, officers are rewarded for making arrests, even if the immigrants they take in are later released.
Now, do you all hear that? They are getting monetary compensation for the arrests that they make. They have to meet quotas, just like when the police are pulling people over and giving you tickets. Okay? But here's the thing. Let me say this, beloveds. You see, all of this outrage after Renee Good lost her life, I want you all to pay attention. All of this outrage. Well, of course, people should be outraged, specifically people who look like her. Okay, specifically the people who look like her should be outraged. But the fact of the matter is, this has been happening to us for decades. Okay, and yes, there have been some white people that have marched and protested with us. Absolutely, we never denied that. I've always told you all about the civil rights, the white people that marched doing civil rights. But here's the thing: these people out there now, most of them are not those type of white folk. Most of them are people who actually voted for Trump. You see, they voted for Trump, in my opinion, because they didn't think any of this was going to touch them. Another thing is, most of them out there wish that Renee Good had been black. Okay? They wish that Renee Good had been black. You know why? Because then they think black people would have been out there and that would have furthered their movement. It's already been alleged. Now, I can't substantiate this, but I promise you it was alleged. Someone did a video, and I think I have it queued to show you, but someone did a video saying that they got word that the Trump administration says they wished that the person had been black as well. Because that would have amped up the rioting. And see, didn't I tell y'all that they want the melee to continue so they can have the Insurrection Act, martial law, so they can do what they want, so they can use that as an excuse? And the fact that black people are not out there is bothersome for not only the White House, but also for the people out there in the street that are boots on the ground. Well, you can stay out there, boots on the ground. Okay, I'm not coming outside today. Feel like it. All right? Now, if it should get to a point to where we have no choice, when they start coming for us, okay, well, then we'll have to do what we have to do. But as for now, I'm going to sit here. That's what I'm going to do. Okay? That's what I'm going to do. And they burst into a church as well. We're going to get into that, these protesters. All right? Let me read some of these comments. Have you heard about this letter Donald Trump sent to Norway on the news? No, but thank you, because I'll certainly look it up, beloved. A letter to Norway. Okay, Nessa G said, Queen, did you see the church being stormed because the pastor was a member of the Frozen crew? Honey, I sure did. I sure did. I think I have that. We're going to get into it. Okay, please pay attention.
Additionally, the paper highlights how the Minneapolis operation feels different on the ground compared to other major cities where ICE has been deployed. That's because some 3,000 federal officers are operating in and around Minneapolis, a city of 430,000 people. Compare that with just a few hundred agents sent to Chicago last fall. That was
honey, it's getting real serious out here. Dynamic Quality says Trump now mad because of protests at St. Paul Church. Yes, he absolutely is. Okay, he absolutely is. But here's the thing: he's pretending to be mad, but he's likely absolutely thrilled about it, because this just gives him the wherewithal to, to send more force. Okay, to do more nefarious things. He wants all of this to occur, beloved. And thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings.
a city with 2.7 million residents. Meantime, Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara is questioning the actions of an ICE agent who shot and killed Renee Good earlier this month. In an interview with 60 Minutes, O'Hara said the agent appeared to violate basic officer safety principles when approaching Good's SUV, repeatedly placing himself in the vehicle's path just before the shooting. O'Hara says after reviewing the video, he's left with serious concerns, including why the ICE officer placed himself in harm's way and didn't follow basic procedures. Watch.
I find that very interesting, don't you? This is the police chief in Minneapolis. Okay, now he has a problem with what happened to Renee Good, but when this crap happens to Black people on a regular basis, I bet you he doesn't have a problem with that. What did he think about George Floyd and Derek Chauvin? Okay, did he come out and speak against that? I don't think so. All right, so please miss me with it. Let's continue.
I've seen the videos, and it's not clear to me why he appears to be in the path of the vehicle more than once. when you approach someone in a vehicle in a law enforcement encounter, there's very basic steps you take to ensure the officer's safety and to de-escalate the situation.
I want to bring in live from Minneapolis, MS Now reporter Nnamdi Egwuonwu. Nnamdi, just set us up for what we're in for this week, because over the weekend we've seen reporting around the potential for subpoenas against Governor Walz and Mayor Frey. I imagine that people are still very concerned and the mood is intense. At the same time, it's also really, really cold there, right? So what does that set up for this week?
Well, it's easy to presume that because of the cold weather we've seen in recent days, it's currently about -8, that there may be a decrease in some of those protests you've been seeing. I can tell you that we've been surprised that hasn't necessarily been the case. We're back at the Whipple Federal Building, which has served as both the de facto headquarters for ICE here, but also a consistent site of protests. And despite the cold weather, it has continued to be a consistent site of protest, particularly amid, reports that the Justice Department were investigating Mayor Frey and Governor Walz. And like you said, is Trump and the Army at least ready for the possibility of some sort of deployment of federal military personnel here? That, of course, fueling anger, fueling frustrations among people here that have wanted, if anything, a decrease in the amount of federal officials, federal immigration personnel that are in this city. We've continued to see a response from local police here, local sheriff deputies here, who are tasked with ensuring that tensions remain low, doing what they can to make sure the clashes we've seen at this building aren't happening as consistently as they were. I want to show you some changes that have been made to this building to make sure that happens. If you look behind me, you'll see fencing all across the sidewalk here that typically protesters are pushed back in. We've seen in recent days a larger presence of the Hennepin County Sheriff here, who have now been tasked with ensuring that protesters essentially stay on this side of the sidewalk.
Okay, so yeah, we have seen the viral videos of all of that. Here's the thing. Now let's talk about this church. Now here's the thing. Dynamic Quality says he wasn't the police chief in Minneapolis during George Floyd. He was actually recruited by the mayor not too long ago. Oh, yes, I know. I know that. See, here's the thing, beloved. My point is, because during George Floyd's murder in 2020, the police chief was Madario Arredondo. I believe that was his name, or Redondo, or something like that. Anyway, I know he wasn't the police chief then. That's not my point. My point is, what did he have to say about it? Okay, whatever he was doing, I'm sure he had some thoughts on what happened to George Floyd. Now, guarantee you, those thoughts were not about de-escalation or about the officer being in the wrong. I'll guarantee you that's not what his thoughts were. That's my point. See, these people are out here saying stuff now. Even the police, they're going in about this happening to a white woman, but they do this stuff every damn day to Black people. That's what the police do. Okay, so they can miss me with it, because at the end of the day, they don't come out talking about de-escalating a darn thing when it's a Black person killed unarmed at a damn traffic stop. Not even a criminal Black person, just a regular Black person minding their own Black business, trying to get to and fro. Okay, that's what they don't do. And further, before we get into that church, let's go to this video. Okay, let's go to this video where this Caucasian man is talking about how ICE tried to kidnap him or something. See, this is why they want us out there. And I want you all to pay attention to something too. Let me just say this. Now, with Jake Lang being out there and getting his behind beaten by the counter protesters. And see, here's the thing, why it's so foolish for that Black man. Okay, maybe he has a good heart. I'm sure he does. He wanted to do what Jesus would do. But here's the thing. Sometimes you need to stand the hell back and let nature take its course. Okay, let what's going to go down, go down. All right, please pay attention at the end of the day, because the thing is, the people that were whipping on Jake Lang, those people were doing so because they were counter protesting him and ICE and all the racist rhetoric they were spewing. They were going in on him because he was talking about a race war. These were the good white folk. He's helping the devil. So make that make sense. But here's the thing. Now that they have seen specifically how this Black man saved Jake Lang, now they more than ever want us out there, because they know Black people will be their first level of defense. At least that's what they think. Okay, somebody said they were out there the other day throwing some darn snowballs. What are you throwing snowballs for? But anyway, let's continue. I want y'all to hear what this man had to say.
Today, I got arrested for being in a street. I wasn't impeding traffic. I was just scolding Nazis for their bad decisions. And they came up, they lined up, and then they sprinted after me. and they chased me for blocks. I was running for my life. I was scared. I don't know what they're going to do to me. They're fucking Nazis. A woman was filming me from her minivan, and I begged her to let me in because I was scared. So I jumped in the back of her minivan, and you know what they did? They came up and they put a gun to her face. They pulled a pistol on her and put a gun to her face. This is not America. This is not freedom. This is fascism. It's here now. While I was detained, they put us into a cell without ventilation. They put us in there, and people were pepper sprayed, so we're just coughing the whole time. They didn't read me my rights. They didn't read any of their rights. No one got to speak to a lawyer. One man was in there. They beat his face in. He was bleeding. His face was smashed in for the crime of blowing a whistle in public. Wake the fuck up, America. Stop pretending like the midterms are going to save you. Get off your fucking asses and resist.
Okay, well, I'll start resisting when it comes to my front door. Okay, I want you all to pay attention. I will start resisting when the melee comes to my front door, because that's where it's going to have to come for me. Okay, because like I said and continue to say, when it's Black people, where are you, shouting man of anger and rage? All right, did you think that it was only going to be the immigrants? Of course you did. You thought it was going to be the immigrants and people who look like me. Now, I bet you he voted for Trump. Now has gotten buyer's remorse. Oh, well, nothing I can do about that. Now, let's get into what they did at the church. All nefarious. All nefarious. Minnesota ICE protesters accused of interrupting church service. Honey, they give zero else. Honey, they done walked up in these people's church and caused havoc. Pay attention.
So there's only a handful of protesters that are still out here right now calling on ICE to leave, but the local sheriff's office has really taken control of the area with their vehicles in the streets blocking protesters, and also a new barricade put in place as the tensions continue to rise here in the Twin Cities. As the Pentagon has ordered about 1,500 active duty soldiers to prepare for a deployment in case violence escalates in Minnesota, barriers went up outside of the ICE facility in Minneapolis. Local sheriff deputies in place to make sure protesters don't cross into the street.
Why? It's a peaceful protest. We're not doing anything. It's just a show of force. That's just one kind of deterrent, from stopping us.
New video showing ICE officers allegedly taking 2 minors into custody in their PJs, one holding their dog as they get inside the vehicle, protesters screaming, "You're hurting our community." Downtown, some hotels are now closing in the Twin Cities because of safety concerns. Sources tell News Nation that government employees had to check out by noon today, while other guests were told they could stay through their reservations. This after over a dozen vehicles believed to belong to federal agents were vandalized, tires slashed at hotels Thursday night as protests grow at hotels where officers are staying. On Saturday, violence broke out at City Hall after counter-protesters forcibly chased away conservative organizer and pardoned January 6er Jake Lang from the pro-ICE anti-fraud rally at which Lang planned to burn a Quran. And Department of Justice officials say they are now investigating a group of anti-ICE protesters after they interrupted a church service in St. Paul, the group alleging that one of the pastors is the acting ICE field director there. ICE posting on X today, quote, "Agitators aren't just targeting our officers. Now they're targeting churches too. They're going from hotel to hotel, church to church, hunting for federal law enforcement who are risking their lives to protect Americans." The Trump administration, which threatened to use the Insurrection Act earlier this week, now calling on local leaders and local law enforcement officials to do more.
What should be happening, instead of going after ICE officers, what should be happening is local leaders should be sending law enforcement out to stop the protesters from assaulting ICE officers for doing nothing except for their job.
You wouldn't need the Insurrection Act if state and local officers were doing their job and maintaining peace.
Minneapolis Mayor Fry, despite being under investigation by the Department of Justice, doubling down, calling federal immigration officers' presence in the city an invasion.
We have about 600 police officers in total in Minneapolis, and there's somewhere in the range of 3,000 ICE agents and border control. They're indiscriminately taking people off the street,
DHS Secretary Kristi Noem has floated the idea of Minneapolis officials creating safe zones where protesters can stay and peacefully protest, similar to what we've seen in Illinois outside of the ICE facility in Chicago there. But Minneapolis Mayor Fry says that that's just not how the First Amendment works. Natasha?
Thank you for watching.
And see, and this is exactly why they want the black people out there, okay? They want the black people out there. And I'm sitting up here laughing because Robert called them, said that guy that was yelling, said the guy that was yelling looked like Wolfman Jack. First of all, Robert, what do you know about Wolfman Jack? That is hilarious, okay? Corey said they're asking us to catch a falling chandelier. Exactly. I'm sorry. We're too busy getting the hell out of the way. All right. And here's the thing. If black people were out there, I guarantee you, we'd be the ones out there getting killed. We'd be the ones out there getting our faces bashed in and taken to jail. That's why they want us out there. Okay. They're out there throwing snowballs. All right. At the end of the day, according to a video that someone put up. Okay, I didn't even know that. But they want us out there to protect and defend them, just like that black man protecting Jake Lang. Okay, and so that we get the brunt of the beatings. Okay, they want us out there so they can bring out the hoses and the dogs. Because where are they now? All right, please pay attention. We've had enough. All right, like Dr. King's daughter said the other day, tired of protesting. All right. Now, Mally C says, Queen, this Jake person put bacon between the pages of the Muslim Bible. I watched it live. They caught him before he was about to burn the book. Yeah, he sure did. Very disrespectful and low down, dirty racist. Like I said, there's no way in the hell I would have offered him any help. Okay, not a bit. That's right. Nestle G said we minded our own black business. All right, Mally, thank you, beloved, for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Now let's go to this protest continue in Minneapolis as federal and state officials continue to clash. Honey, this is all getting real ugly at the end of the day, and it's only gonna get worse as the days pass.
Donald Trump says he is prepared to send troops to Minneapolis as protests continue over federal immigration enforcement operations.
Chris Sadeghi is with us in studio right now. So tensions still high in that city. You can see with the video we were just looking at, not just between protesters and ICE agents, but now between state and local officials and the White House over the federal response.
Yeah, and a lot of tension going on, a lot of things happening here, Kara. 12 days now since the shooting of Renee Good. The tensions in Minnesota seem to only be growing stronger with more demonstrations against ICE, including some planned right here in North Texas. ABC.
And let me say this before I forget. Also, these are the same people that don't want us to get reparations. I want you all to remember that, okay? Talking about it's no time for division. Let me tell you something. If they really didn't want division, give us our darn reparations and an anti-black hate crime bill. But no, they don't want any of that, okay? Too hateful and racist to want black people to ever have any damn thing. So no, I don't feel like I need to go out there and defend anybody other than myself and my people. And when it's time for that, that's when I'll come. Until then, you won't be hearing from me except on this channel. Okay, let's continue.
ABC News reports that 1,500 Army paratroopers are on standby in Minnesota in case President Trump decides to deploy them to Minneapolis, where protesters are still taking to the streets to demonstrate against ICE and demand accountability for the ICE agent who shot Renee Good. The Department of Homeland Security maintains the shooting was justified. Adding to the anger, some attorneys say they're not being allowed to meet with their clients detained by ICE, something DHS says is untrue. And now the administration taking aim at Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry in investigating them for obstructing the work of federal.
Okay. Hold on, beloveds. Let me put that back up. I was going to go to another video, but let's go back to that because I'm interested in this scene that it looks like they're this scene that they're showing. Hold on. Let me back it up just a bit. And I want you all to pay attention to all of these people out there by the thousands, okay? Out there by the thousand. The outrage, if you pay attention, beloveds, whether you all noticed it or not, the outrage grew. It has probably more than tripled since the shooting of Renee. Okay, so at this point, many of those people, they're not out there for the immigrants. Okay, make no mistake, they're out there for themselves. Now they see that their rights are being infringed upon. Now they see that their rights are being taken, are being threatened. So at the end of the day, that's why many of them have now come out after they saw that. They're not out there for the immigrants. Many of them are out there for themselves. All right, please pay attention. Now, I'm not saying that I blame them. Okay, I'm not saying that I blame them, because if there was a black person that was shot in the face, black people would likely be out there too. But the bottom line is that's for them to go out there and defend, and to go out there and be outraged, not us.
Agents with their public comments against ICE, but Fry joined ABC this week on Sunday and was not backing down.
There are other countries where you get put away for the things that you say. There are other countries where you get investigated for saying something that runs counter to what the federal government states. But in this country, it's not that way.
In some of these demonstrations, we've seen agents deploy tear gas to disperse the crowds. A federal judge in Minnesota ruled that tear gas cannot be used if those protesters do remain peaceful.
You've seen demonstrations in Minnesota. You've seen them across the country. We've got some scheduled in our area. What can folks here expect on the ground in North Texas?
Well, these ICE protests coinciding with tomorrow, the 1-year anniversary of President Trump's inauguration. And across the country, there are walkouts planned. People expected to walk out of work and school to take part in these demonstrations. The website Free America says those walkout demonstrations will happen in Arlington, Fort Worth, and Lancaster, among other places, and a Stop ICE terror protest scheduled tomorrow at Dallas City Hall.
Not a Stop ICE terror protest. Not a Stop ICE terror protest. Well, guess what, beloveds? Make sure you tune in, because I will definitely be reporting on that. Okay, this is going to get even more interesting. Now, with that all been said, let's go back to this Fox News. I want to hear what they have to say about the church. Okay, the church invasion, because they say DOJ launches probe after anti-protesters stormed Minnesota church. Mind you all, this is breaking news, okay, because they reported this church incident just about 4 or 5 hours ago. All right, so let's hear what Fox News has to say, because I'm sure they're going to have a totally nefarious narrative.
About what happened at this church in St. Paul. This shows the degree to which these protests have expanded in Minneapolis, and this particular incident is now triggering a federal investigation. A group of protesters stormed and disrupted a Sunday church service because of one of the pastor's possible connections to ICE. The U.S. Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights announced there would be a federal probe over this, writing this on X. The Civil Rights Division is investigating the potential violations of the Federal FACE Act by these people, desecrating a house of worship and interfering with Christian worshipers. The White House, meantime, is considering a federal troop deployment to Minnesota with 1,500 troops now on standby. President Trump has raised the possibility of invoking the Insurrection Act if the violent protests there continue, and that drew a swift rebuke from the mayor of Minneapolis.
This act was clearly designed.
Okay, we've already heard from him. Now let's hear from this white nationalist expert who came on MSN to give his thoughts on what they have going on. Okay, and then after this, I'll play maybe one more video, and then we're going to go to what people are saying, what the public is saying about all of this, and how the white folk are mad at us, and this man tried to shame and guilt us into getting out into the streets. But it's not going to work.
Now, various arms of the Trump administration have been quietly and sometimes quite aggressively promoting Christian nationalism on social media accounts. There are scores of these recruitment posts across the social media pages for DHS, for example, but it goes way beyond just one department. Look at the Labor Department's page. Experts in Christian nationalism and white nationalism believe that what you're seeing here, the themes, they're no coincidence. For example, they keep making posts like these with exactly 14 words and sometimes exactly 88 characters. Experts in neo-Nazis and Groyper movements, they say that these numbers, 14 and 88, are references to neo-Nazi slogans, and posts with 14 words can be used as a sort of quiet way for Nazis to find each other online. These are only 3 examples that you're seeing here, but there are a lot of posts with these themes online. And then there's this post 3 days after ICE killed Renee Good. the Labor Department tweeted, quote, "One homeland, one people, one heritage. Remember who you are, American." NBC News reported that many people said it bore similarities to a Nazi slogan that translates to one people, one empire, one leader. We reached out to DHS for comment. Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin called the comparisons, quote, "revolting," and called us, quote, "conspiracy theorists" for giving this credibility. Joining us now, Bradley Onishi. He's co-host of the Straight White American Jesus podcast and author of Preparing for War. Brad, it's good to see you and have you back on the show again. So, often when we as reporters try to talk about these issues, there can be this pushback or criticism that talking about white Christian nationalism, it's part of the edgy online narrative. It sort of exists there, but it's not really part of real life. But just days ago, a report from the Texas Observer shows that ICE is allowing a guy named James Rodden to continue to work as a prosecutor in their Dallas courtrooms right now, despite the fact that he ran a social media account that said things like, "America is a white nation and all blacks are foreign to my people." So I guess my question for you as an academic, as an expert in this space is all of this really just a coincidence?
It's really hard to believe it's a coincidence when these instances keep happening. So we just had the example of James Rodden, the ICE prosecutor. In the fall, we had the Nazi group chat that was leaked that included young Republican leaders in their 20s and 30s who said things like, "I love Hitler." Another story from last fall was about a Heritage Foundation economist who said, who had a deep appreciation for Nazi warships and often used them in his Zoom accounts and talked about German victimhood in World War II. These coincidences keep piling up. And then when you couple these instances with the social media posts, which are curated, I mean, these are artisanal, not accidental posts. They require a deep knowledge of these online spaces, the white nationalist and Christian nationalist spaces. You start to see something that I think we have to take away at this moment. This is not an accident. This is who they are. And this is the message that they want Americans, and especially the recruits that they're trying to find for ICE. This is the message they want them to see.
Brad, one of the big debates that I think has been going on about Trump and his supporters and the MAGA movement, at least since we started covering Donald Trump when he entered the political scene in 2015, was about whether the appeal of Donald Trump was about economic anxiety or about something darker and related to racism and the way that he, his xenophobic instincts and the way that he talked about non-white people. To me, I think that those two explanations are actually in some ways mutually reinforcing, in the sense that there are people out there who feel like they've been left behind, that their material conditions have deteriorated. And because Donald Trump cannot improve their economic status, he offers them this instead, right? The ability to scapegoat the people who are in fact keeping you down, who are keeping you out of good jobs, and who are making things more expensive. You know, this administration blames immigrants for the cost of housing and everything else. I'm wondering how you see those two forces. Do you also see a connection between, you know, the frustration with affordability issues and economic outcomes and the increasing amplification of what seems to be white nationalist rhetoric by members of this administration?
I agree with you that this is a both-and situation. There are folks in the 2024 election, particularly Latino and Black voters, who said explicitly that they were voting for a more affordable economy, a more affordable way of life in the United States. However, there are also many folks in the decade that Trump has been in public life and presidential politics who are part of white grievance spaces online. And one of the things that I think goes without saying these days, but I guess is worth saying out loud one more time, is that Donald Trump's tactics, whenever possible, are not to appeal to anyone's better angels, not to find a way for America to strive forward together, but as you said, to scapegoat the most vulnerable and to deepen, to widen, and to inflame the passions of those who are looking for someone that they can blame for the life they think that is no longer theirs. That is what I see in these social media.
Now, I want you all to pay attention to something. I want you all to pay attention to something. Didn't I tell you all months ago, once in the chat, if you remember, me saying months ago that there would be a civil war, that these people would turn on each other? And if you saw the movie Civil War, if you remember the scene where these people that were trying to flee came upon this man with his gun, and he said to them, well, they said they're Americans. And he asked them, what kind of American? Y'all remember that? He said, what kind of American? See, that's the thing. Because right now, some of them don't even give a damn about their own if they're not on the same ideology as them. Okay, if they're not on the same energy as them, they don't care. Let me tell you all something. I have a Caucasian doctor. And I went to see him the other day, and I was talking about this. Me and him were talking about all this stuff that's going on. And when I spoke about Renee Nicole Good, and I did that just to gauge what side he was on, where his mindset is. And so he told me, he said, well, if she had stayed home, that wouldn't have happened to her. You can't be out there trying to run over federal agents. Ha! That's what he said. These people give zero damns, okay? And I want you to pay attention, because now there's a bunch of white women out there saying that their husbands don't care about Renee Good. Some of them are talking about getting divorces. Let me tell y'all something. White men have historically not given a damn about white women. That's why they started feminism, okay, and tried to include us in it. But black men have never oppressed black women. White men have oppressed their women, okay? That's what they've done at the end of the day. So once again, they're acting like they can't believe that their husbands don't care about this white woman. You know, I'm sure you knew that when you married him. And if you didn't, well, you know, sadly for you, okay? Sadly for you. Now, we're going to get into some of these videos, but right now, what the people are saying in the streets. But right now, let's talk about how they're not only protesting Trump in the United States, he is being protested in countries globally. For example, he's definitely being protested in Greenland. And somebody had a sign that said, Yankee, go home. Okay, let's get into it. Lights up, everyone, please like and share.
Greenland and Denmark today, telling the U.S. and President Donald Trump, hands off. Welcome back to Eyewitness News at 4. I'm Liz Nagy.
And I'm Jory Rand. The protests come as President Trump is threatening to impose new tariffs on Denmark and other European allies unless a deal is struck for him to purchase Greenland.
Reporter Jen Sullivan has the latest on global reaction to U.S. advances on the Arctic island.
Crowd shouting Greenland is for Greenlanders Saturday as people in Greenland express outrage over the U.S.'s recent threats to take over the Nordic island.
We are not for sale.
In the capital of Nuuk, thousands of people turned out. And similar protests were held in Denmark. Greenland is an autonomous territory of Denmark.
Greenland should be free, and Greenland should be for the Greenlanders, not for the Americans.
For months, President Donald Trump has insisted the U.S. should control Greenland. Its far north location makes it ideal for missile early warning systems and monitoring vessels in the region.
We need Greenland for national security.
Saturday, the president ramping up his threats against countries opposing the U.S. acquiring Greenland, posting this on Truth Social, saying, quote, starting February 1st, several European countries will be charged a 10% tariff on any and all goods sent to the United States of America. On June 1st, the tariff will be increased to 25%.
Isn't this extortion? Isn't this extortion? Okay, Trump's basically saying, listen, y'all better give me Greenland, all right, or I'm going to raise the tariffs. Okay, this man is crazy. Let's continue. Oh, and by the way, Corey says, we aren't being the face of the Insurrection Act. Y'all have more numbers than us. Make it happen. Yeah, exactly. Okay, we're not going out there Please.
Earlier in the week, Denmark and several other NATO countries sent troops to Greenland for exercises in an apparent signal of NATO opposition to the apparent threat of an American seizure of the Arctic landmass. Any American military move on Greenland could trigger Article 5 of the NATO treaty, which says an attack on one NATO territory is an attack on all. President Trump's threats are drawing criticism from both sides of the political aisle on Capitol Hill.
Let me say this, Trump's low-key trying to get rid of NATO, okay? It all makes sense. That peace plan that he has with these world members or these world leaders that he's invited to come have a seat at the round table, if he gets all of them on board, that's going to be his replacement for NATO, because right now he's not feeling it. He said that NATO's not doing their job. He's basically going in on them. So I guarantee you that's what he's going to use that for, okay? He's going to use that because what he wants are loyalists. And he feels like they're not loyal. He's basically said previously that he doesn't feel that he can trust them. Okay, so with that all being said, he's trying to get other allies that are going to be his loyalists, do what he says, vote how he wants, and be down with whatever nefarious shenanigans that he's into. With that being said, these people will likely all be corrupt. Okay, because anybody with morals and ethics and who's doing the right thing, they would not be trying to be intertwined or linked to Trump. Please pay attention.
Basically severing this whole agreement and invading an ally, a democracy that's immoral, it's wrong.
The thought of starting a war or invading a NATO ally is unthinkable.
It's also an unpopular opinion among Americans, according to a new CNN poll. The survey shows that 75% oppose the U.S. attempting to take control of Greenland. Jen Sullivan, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Of course, the U.S. opposes them trying to take Greenland because they know that Putin has already said that he will absolutely end the world. Okay? Now, Mally C says, I just saw an article where it said Trump is going after Greenland because he didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize. He sent it as a text message to Norway Prime Minister. The man oozes small pecker energy. Okay? With that all being said, here's the thing. Thank you for your insight into the topic and also for your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings. Oh, yeah, he absolutely did say that. I saw that this morning as well. As a matter of fact, thank you for reminding me because I actually forgot about that. Okay, so let me pull that up. Yeah, he's basically saying that since he didn't win that darn Nobel Peace Prize, well, forget about peace. Okay, forget about peace. Here's what he said. Trump blames Nobel snub for Greenland demand in text to Norwegian Prime Minister. President Donald Trump said he no longer needs to think purely of peace after not winning the Nobel Peace Prize. Okay, in a letter to Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Store. All right, now here's the thing. That lets us all know, which we already knew, that Trump was not trying to do anything for concern of any of the people involved, out of care, or any of those things. It was all about him. He didn't care about, these wars ending, except for the fact that he felt like he could get credit for it so he can win that Nobel Peace Prize because he's in a constant competition with Obama. President Obama lives rent-free in Trump's head. Okay, he lives rent-free in Trump's head. And I'm going to show you all videos where Trump was booed loudly till you couldn't even hardly hear what he was saying. But when Obama comes and shows up, there's cheers. And Trump has to hate that. Okay, so absolutely he's doing these things because he's upset. He's like, damn, peace now. Okay, forget about peace. So President Donald Trump sent a text on January the 18th to Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Store, in which he complained about not winning the Nobel Peace Prize, saying he no longer will think purely of peace as a result. Now, Trump went on to assert that only a complete and total control of Greenland by the U.S. could keep the world secure. So obviously he's not worried about Putin's threat. Okay, now Trump's message was first reported by PBS journalist Nick Schifrin in an X post and confirmed by Store's office at USA Today on January the 19th. The Prime Minister's office also shared the message exchange between Store and Trump with USA Today. Considering your country Now, this is the quote. Considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. Okay, he sent that at 4:15 p.m. Norway time. All right, 10:15 a.m. Eastern Standard. He says, I have done more for NATO than any other person since its founding. And now NATO should do something for the United States. The world is not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland. Trump's message was in response to a text message that Storr sent on behalf of himself and the president of Finland, Alexander Stubb, less than half an hour before, okay, at 3:48 p.m. local time, urging Trump to de-escalate on Greenland, Gaza, Ukraine, and your tariff announcement. He says, you know our position on these issues, but we believe we all should work to take this down and de-escalate. So much is happening around us where we need to stand together. This is what Storr was telling Trump. We are proposing a call with you later today. Give us a hint of what you prefer. Greenland is an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark. Now, Trump has said acquiring the territory is essential to U.S. national security and to protect it from Russia and China. Now, Storr on January the 17th pushed back on Trump's insistence that the U.S. should control Greenland. He basically told Trump, threats have no place among allies. Norway's position is firm. Greenland is part of the Kingdom of Denmark. Norway fully supports the sovereignty of the Kingdom of Denmark. There is broad agreement in NATO on the need to strengthen security in the Arctic, including Greenland. Meanwhile, Trump announced on January 17th that a 10% tariff would be imposed on all goods sent to the U.S. from Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, as well as France, Germany, and the U.K., and also even the Netherlands and Finland, unless a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland. Okay? Clearly extorting. Clearly extortion, in my opinion. Now, meanwhile, Trump announced, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and President of the European Council, Antonio Costa, issued a statement on January the 17th saying territorial integrity and sovereignty are fundamental principles of international law. Well, Trump has neither of those, okay? And adding that the EU stands in full solidarity with Denmark and the people of Greenland. Okay, please pay attention, honey. It's all about to go down. Trump has us all out here in danger. Okay, I just hope Putin doesn't get any more upset than he already is. Now, here's the thing. I almost forgot about this video. This report says Minnesota residents are exhausted by protests and the fraud crackdown. Okay, now let's go to this, because they talk about the George Floyd protest and now all of this going on. They say these people are just tired at this point.
Independent candidate for Minnesota governor this year. Mike, I appreciate you joining us. And as someone running to lead the state of Minnesota, what do you see when you watch these demonstrations taking place in Minneapolis?
Oh, I mean, I'm heartbroken. And I'm heartbroken that this once again is happening in Minnesota, because Minnesotans are exhausted right now. Not only because of this, but I mean, as you reported before, the fraud. We've been under so much pressure. And as a Minnesotan and as somebody that is running for governor, what I've been hearing is people are exhausted.
What is the best way in your eyes to de-escalate this situation? I mean, obviously, there is still so much anger. There is a lot of fear that we're seeing on these streets as well. Is there more of an onus on the side of the federal government? Is it local government? Is it the protesters themselves?
No, there's a lot of blame to go all around. I mean, I could blame our local government. I could blame a little heavy-handedness by the federal government, and I can blame the protesters. Well, I wouldn't say the protesters. I'd say the agitators. But right now, I don't want to point fingers because everyone else is. And what I'm trying to do is de-escalate the situation we're in. Because we have schools closed, we have businesses closed, we have people not being able to buy groceries. People are not leaving their apartments or their homes. So right now we need leadership that will actually de-escalate. And when I was on earlier today, I had asked and said, we need about a 14-day cooling off period to let people rest, let the protesters go home, get the agitators out of our state because we don't need them. Let Governor Walz and the President of the United States sit down face to face, have a conversation, and figure out how we can do this in a more peaceful manner where the rest of us, the majority in the middle, aren't being punished.
Would you want ICE operations to cease for those 14 days?
Well, I would. When you say cease, I would ask of them to stay in their barracks, so to speak, because that would cool down things. I'm not asking ICE to leave Minnesota, because most Minnesotans, and I say the vast majority, were for getting rid of dangerous, criminal, illegal aliens.
Is that what you've been
against-
seeing? Is that what you've been seeing over the past several weeks?
When you say seeing, help me out there.
We are seeing video, unfortunately, of minors being picked up a block away from school. Do you believe that it's truly the worst of the worst?
Of what's going on right now? Yeah, I mean, listen, things have just broken down. Our local law enforcement were stretched before this event even happened. So I have good friends who are in the MPD, and they say they're stressed out. And they're talking to ICE agents, and they're stressed out. And when you have stressed out people, bad decisions are made. And that's why I'm asking for a cooling down period.
Do you have a message for Walz and Fry tonight?
Yeah, start to lead. Get in front of this. Put your egos aside. Think about your citizens. Talk to the President of the United States. I'm not saying either side is right and wrong, but somebody needs to be a leader in this situation to diffuse it. Kids are scared. Families are scared. It's just Minnesotans are exhausted, and we need leaders. And that's why I'm running for governor, because, listen, due to generations of political.
Okay, I'm not going to listen to him trying to promote his run for governor. Sir, sit down somewhere. Okay, I can already listen to him and see what side of the fence he stands on. With that all being said, Marjorie, thank you for your contribution to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, so now let's get into some of these TikToks and what people are saying. Now, first, there's a TikTok where they say the pastor disrupts church. Protesters disrupt church for pastor's role as ICE director. Okay, this is all a hot mess. Okay, so here's the footage. Let's get into it.
David Easterwood is a pastor here. He is also the director of the field office for ICE in St. Paul. So someone who claims to worship God, teaching people in this church about God, is out there overseeing ICE agents. Think about what we've experienced. The murder of Renee Good at the hands of ICE. A Venezuelan national shot by ICE. A 6-month-old baby who almost died as a result of ICE unleashing military-grade weapons on our community. How dare you claim to be a pastor of God and you are involved in evil in our community?
Do you think Jesus would be understanding?
We're about worship.
These folks.
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them?
No, church had gathered for worship, which we do every Sunday, and we were interrupted by this group of protesters. Yeah. We asked them to leave, and they obviously have not left.
David East.
Hey, that is also very nefarious, all right? Reggie said they're there for you, sir. Absolutely. Now, with that all being said, let's go to Trump getting booed. Okay, I know this hurt his feelings. You can tell that he's so mad because you look at him and can see that he clenches his jaw. How sad is that? Okay. Blair says, F that orange hoe. I'm so done. You all are nefarious, okay? Now here he is getting booed again. Here's another clip. Yeah, that's right. Hollywood said he can't get a word out, okay? And here's the thing. They even booed a woman that was singing the U.S. national anthem. Okay, this is how much they can't stand the United States. I want you all to pay attention. They booed the lady for singing the national anthem. Meanwhile, cheers to Obama. Okay, literally cheering for President Obama. I know Trump's feelings are so hurt.
Former President
cette vie-là, qu'on a cherché, qu'on a trouvé.
Okay, so you all see that? Okay, you all see that? This is what's going on here. Reggie said, well, she was better than Fergie. Yeah, I have to agree. Okay, absolutely have to agree. And then, someone said in the comments, I can't remember which one of you said it, but one of you had said in the comments, and I don't know if I put it on the screen, I meant to, but one of you said something about how one of you said how Trump was acting like a spoiled child, and that's the reason the lady gave him the Nobel Peace Prize. Well, this is absolutely true. He does act like a spoiled child throwing a tantrum when he doesn't get his way. Okay, but also someone else said the same thing. One of the Greenlanders said that. Okay, I'll go to that clip in a second. Now, Mally C says, every time 47 talks, it looks like an AI to me. I know, right? It literally does. Now, thank you for your insight into the topic, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings.
I think he has lost his mind. I hope that there soon will be some more clever people in the States who will tell him, no, it's not going to work, this thing. You have to retire in some way or another, and then to make it successfully for you too. But I think he has lost his mind a month ago.
It's a bit like a spoiled child turned old. And you think he can, and think he can scare people. He can't scare Greenlanders. We're not scared. We'll fight them to the end, and we will never give in. And we are so happy we have so good allies.
I cannot imagine. I cannot really imagine that he can have Greenland, and he can put pressure on, yes, but I hope really he wouldn't succeed in it. But we don't know. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows,
No.
but we have a lot of allies, and now they are stepping up.
I hope that the American people as well get their eyes opened to see this is not a good way to treat anybody.
I think.
Okay, clearly he has. Clearly he has. Now, 3 options being considered by the EU over Trump's tariffs threat. Okay, let's get into it. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance.
There are 3 options being considered by the EU to retaliate against President Trump over his decision to impose tariffs on 8 European countries, including the UK, because of the ongoing spat over Trump's desire to own Greenland. First, it could trigger the anti-coercion instrument. Now, this is a complex law that was designed to be used against states considered hostile to the Europeans, particularly China, certainly not against an historical ally like the United States. But the unthinkable is now being seriously considered, particularly by the French president, Emmanuel Macron. It would allow Europe to impose tariffs against America. It would also limit American companies' access to the free market and its ability to invest in Europe. It would have severe economic impacts for the United States, and it would almost certainly trigger a backlash from Washington. Secondly, they could delay the ratification of the EU-US trade deal that was agreed last summer. Yes, that would also have an economic impact on European countries, but it would have an impact on the Americans as well. The EU might feel now that it is in a strong position to do this. This weekend, they agreed a free trade agreement with some major South American countries. It is a huge trade deal that collectively covers around 30% of the world's GDP and 700 million consumers. And so the European leaders might feel that they are now on strong ground, and this is a route that they can go down without too much negative impact on their own states. Thirdly, there is diplomacy. It hasn't worked so far. There is now a realization here in Brussels that Donald Trump is serious when he says he wants to own Greenland. Talking to him has not worked so far. However, there is an opportunity coming up this week. The World Economic Forum begins in Davos. President Trump will be there, so too will the NATO Secretary General and many of Europe's major leaders. It will be a chance to speak to the US president face to face, to be in the same room with him. But European leaders will want to go there able to wield a stick.
Okay, so basically they don't have much time to come to an agreement. Now, with that all been said, I think I forgot to show you all this video last week of Trump, because I've been telling you all about Trump's health. You heard it here first when I told you that I believe that Trump has dementia, okay, and early onset dementia is taking Lakemba to treat it. That's just my opinion. I can't substantiate it as I told you, but I do believe that to be true. He's exhibiting the signs of a person who's taking Lakemba, and I showed you all the proof of receipts. Now, with that also being said, I told you that I believe that he had many strokes. I told you that months ago. And then a doctor came out and said the same thing. But here's what I want you all to pay attention to. He has this jerky neck movement. Okay. He has a jerky neck movement. That is something that a person who has suffered a stroke. Okay. Let's go to that now. I'm going to mute the sound because they're playing music in the background. Okay, hold on just a second. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to share this. Okay, now please pay attention to Trump's jerky neck movement. All right, hold on. Did y'all see that? Did y'all see that? Did y'all see that, honey? That neck was jerking. Okay, now that to me is a sign of someone who's had a stroke. Listen to this. I'm going to show you the receipts. See, I'm out here doing thorough research, beloveds. I want y'all to pay attention. And also, in that episode of The Simpsons where Trump died, and that episode of The Simpsons where Trump is no longer with us, he's in a coffin. That is, the date that they had in there is right around the corner. So please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, it says, yes, involuntary jerking or twitching movements known as myoclonus can be a sign of a stroke. Okay, or a common post-stroke condition like spasticity. Okay, spasticity, which causes muscle spasms, stiffness, and uncontrollable contractions resulting from disrupted brain signals. These movements, from brief twitches to sustained spasms, happen when nerve signals to muscles get mixed up, causing fibers to tighten improperly and can affect limbs, hands, or even the jaw. Y'all hear that? Y'all hear that? So I absolutely think that he had a mini stroke. Okay. All right, I want y'all to pay attention. And so that's what they say. Oh my goodness, hold on, beloveds, because I accidentally deleted the video that I was about to show. Okay, so here we go. Let's continue. Now, like I said, they're mad at Black folk.
Folks were sitting out for protesting and this, and that. So meanwhile, shout out to Joy Ann Reid. She has confirmed from her sources that the Trump administration is pissed the fuck off because Renee Nicole Good wasn't a Black or brown woman. They need people to riot. They need people to go out in these streets. And they're trying to provoke Black folks for doing that. Kind of another reason why they're ready to go door to door. They want chaos. But y'all are mad at Black folks for not going out in these streets and putting our lives on the line. When we said that we were done, we were fucking done. And yet us being done is literally helping protect y'all asses. And y'all don't seem to fucking realize it, bitch. If we go out there, more lives will be lost. Y'all don't seem to realize that. So y'all should be thanking us instead of getting fucking mad at us. Y'all mad at Black folks for sitting out for protest.
Okay, they can get as mad as they want. That's what they can do. They can get as mad. Queen Sam, stop. Okay, Queen Sam. Okay. Mel says this is not our war. Okay. Now let's continue. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Okay. Jaded Shade says truth hurts. Of course it does, beloved. That's why many people are in denial.
There just wasn't as much outrage when Black and brown people were being targeted by ICE. And that's literally because white people expected ICE to target Black and brown people. So there wasn't going to be an outrage because from history and what's been going on for hundreds of years, they've been doing that. Law enforcement, slave catchers, have been targeting Black and brown people forever. You know what I mean? And so I feel like there wasn't any outrage because those things were expected. It wasn't going to make a big, news story. It was going to, be stories here and there, but it was never going to cause this big of a story, in comparison to Renee. Renee Good's story actually sparked so much more conversation and outrage, but that's because it wasn't expected. White people weren't expecting to see a white person being unalived by an ICE agent, by that ICE agent literally pew-pewing them in the face, which is something that we've seen happen to Black and brown people regularly. So I feel like the reason why there's so much outrage now is because white people weren't expecting this. They don't expect to see things like this. But like, this has always been the issue, period. It's like the people in power and then using their power to control everyone and literally harm everyone. It's just becoming more of a problem now because now these ICE agents are harming white people. Like US citizens, white people are being harmed by ICE agents. So now that's causing an outrage because it wasn't expected. But if it was a brown person or a black person being targeted by law enforcement or ICE, then it's expected.
Okay, at the end of the day, like Dynamic Quality said, no lies detected, okay? None whatsoever. Here's the thing. When Keith Porter was killed on New Year's Eve, there was no outrage. There was no media coverage, basically. Okay, very little to no media coverage at the end of the day. All right. So, yeah, I'm not going to get all in an uproar because all of this all started because Renee lost her life. They weren't thinking about when Black people lost theirs. Okay, please miss me with all of it. And like I told you, this man, I'm going to go to his clip in a minute where he tried to shame us and blame us, okay, into feeling guilty enough to come out and, in fact, protest. I'm sorry, dude. I'm staying home.
I actually don't have a single friend who is like thrilled with how their husband is reacting to all this. Most of them are describing their husbands as ostriching, sticking their heads in the sand and pretending like nothing is happening. Meanwhile, my friends, their wives, are trying to figure out how are we going to continue normal life for our children through this? How are we going to prepare and protect ourselves? And their husbands are like, stop being so emotional. You're overreacting. I mean, do we see what's happening? Hello. It's time to wake up. Protect your family. Like, my friends are losing complete faith in their partners at this point.
So ironic to see white women.
I just say that this young lady here, Love Jones, she is so beautiful, okay? She is so beautiful to me. Her face, her spirit, everything about her. But let's continue.
On the internet talking about how the white men are not sticking up for their families and they're not protecting their families because they saw how that Claire lady was unalived by that ICE officer chair. My whole thing is like, you all literally would have picnics called picnic is pick a nigga. After you all's church services, you all would go and hang Black people. And this was happening in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and even in the 60s. And there was a few Black men that was hung, unfortunately, in 2025. So we're not going to sit up here and act like white women don't have a hand in all of the atrocities that have been caused and perpetuated by white men. Y'all after they come with the white hoods, they come home, y'all make them dinner. Y'all freak them down. Y'all bear their children. Y'all raise them. They come from your womb. So why are you so surprised?
Yes, she's absolutely right, beloveds. And what have I always told you? I have always told you that white women are the architects. They're the mothers of white supremacy because they birthed these people into the world. They're the ones that teach them. We all know the mothers are the first teachers. They're the ones that sewed the Klan's outfit, the Klan's Klan outfits for their children. I've shown you all pictures of little children, 4 and 5 years old, at Klan rallies. Where did they get those little costumes from? Because their mothers made them for them. So, ladies, please don't act now like you're so shocked and appalled that your men are not standing for Renee Nicole Good, because they're standing for Trump. Okay. Now, Locked Vegan says, Queen, do they just not get it? How many times we gotta say we're staying out of it, just like they've always done? Shaking my head. Exactly. Please.
Now it only matters because you feel like you're being directly affected. This has been happening, but y'all never gave a damn because you felt like it had nothing to do with you. The irony of it all. So I gotta keep saying, like, these clear women, they get to try to hide under the guise of the patriarchy. They get to hide under the guise of the patriarchy and make it seem like, oh, but we're women. Oh, but it's just the white teen man. Oh, but it's not us.
And it's like, no, y'all are still, not all, but some of y'all are still very much so racist. So like I was saying, a lot of white women are blatantly racist. The first serial unaliver was a white woman. Like, y'all ever seen American Horror Story? It was one of the seasons with the coven. I can't remember, but it was a white woman that was literally torturing and unaliving Black people.
Exactly. And that was based on a true story that happened in Louisiana. Now, with that all been said, honey, they can go cry to someone else. All right. I'm sorry. It's true.
White women are mad at Black women, the 92% who voted for Harris. You mad at us because we're not going to march with you? Let's talk about it. I've been sick for the last week. Okay, so I haven't been posting. But now I'm starting to see this trend of white women trying to come up on Black women's platforms, make these statements, trying to villainize us because we're not working in solidarity as women. I'm like, well, where was your solidarity when it came to the vote? More than 50% of white women voted for Trump. Where was your solidarity then? See, here's the thing that's not okay with me. I don't mind. Look, you can vote for your man. Go ahead. That's your dude. Have at it. But don't bring the mess to my house. Don't bring the over here to me and act like I'm supposed to clean up your mess like I'm your mammy. You don't want this smoke. You do not want this. God, help me not curse anybody out today. I'm doing my best, God. Please help me not say what's in my heart to say because I don't want to misrepresent you. But I will say this. White women, y'all haven't wanted us. You just want to use us. Ever since the Seneca Fall Convention, Women's Rights Convention in 1848, when Sojourner Truth stood up for you to have a voice in that space. All I'm saying is the expectation, the racism, the privilege, the entitlement is staggering. Go away. And I know there's some white women who did not vote for Trump. I'm sorry that you got to deal with the blowout, but that's what it feels like to be Black. When you get grouped in with another group, you get to deal with the consequences. You don't get to feed off of us. White women who are actually mad that we are taking our rest, that we don't want to mess with y'all. That's amazing to me. We can't even rest. We can't tell you no. We can't tell you no, but you can tell him yes. So you go ahead with your master. You go ahead with your daddy. Let him go ahead and spank you. Let him do you. We're not in it. We're not in it. And please stop coming onto our platforms, talking smack about how we're not doing the right thing by women's rights and we're opting out and we're giving up. I'm like, we're not giving up. We're just not playing with y'all. We're not. We're standing on business. We are not going to help you get out of the mess that you voted in because you did that. And you did it and you get to deal with it. We are not saving you, white woman. We're not saving you. All right. And so for my 92% and my 22% of Black men who voted for Harris, please share this video.
Okay. All right. Exactly. Honey, we can't save y'all. We tried to save y'all before. You see, we tried to warn you. We tried to warn you that your rights too. Do you all not remember? I know y'all heard it here first. Didn't I tell you all that at the end of the day, they're going to be coming for everybody's rights? And these people out here supporting Trump are going to be in for a rude awakening. Well, here it is. Okay, here it is. All right, I told y'all they're going to be acting like, oh, it's only going to be about the immigrants and Black people. I said, but Trump doesn't care about anybody. And when it comes for them, oh, who are they going to lean on? They thought it would be us. See, here's the thing. Like I told y'all, if we were out there right about now, they would absolutely be focusing all of their anger and hostility. And I'm talking about ICE. They would be directing all of that towards us. Okay? And these people who want us out there know that. They want us as their first layer of defense. Who we are? They're Buffalo soldiers? I'm sorry. We're not. Locks Beacon said, you know, I adore you, Queen. Keep us in the news loop and activating our critical thinking. I can only eat so much popcorn, LOL. Okay, thank you, beloved, for your kind words. I appreciate you. And also thank you for your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, so this Black woman says white women, they're mad at us, and she says their privilege is showing. It absolutely is. Like the nerve of y'all to try to make us feel bad, okay, when y'all never cared about what we had to go through. Please pay attention.
Imagine being a white woman that is pissed off at Black women, specifically the 92%, because we refuse to join your little march that's coming up. Imagine that. Even in this moment, y'all still holding on to your sense of entitlement and privilege. Even in this moment, you are failing to take accountability for the fact that y'all created this shit. We told you guys after the election that y'all gonna need to find somebody else to do it because we're tired. And Black women across the globe are about to be on vacation for the next 4 years. Why y'all mad? What have you done for us? How have you supported us? How have you had our back? How have you joined in the fight that we've been fighting for God knows how long? Imagine being a white woman pissed at Black women because we don't want to march with y'all. We're tired. Y'all put him in office. Y'all did.
Okay, no lies detected. They absolutely did. So I'm sorry. You can't expect that you voluntarily jump down into the well and then you want us to pull you up. Why'd you go down there in the first place? Okay? Please pay attention.
Responses of white women who are acting surprised about the behavior and the reaction of white men to the death of Renee Good. Talking about something, I'm leaving my husband. I can't believe they don't care about this. Ma'am, you knew this. You knew this. Stop. Nobody's telling you to lie. Ma'am, your husband's probably ICE. If not ICE, they definitely support him. And now they feel like they're in danger. Ma'am, you've been in danger. You've been in danger. Your husband probably been the same person laughing when Black folks lost their lives or when natives was getting chased down by ICE. You just didn't care because you weren't the center of this. Now that you're the center, you feel like the prey instead of the predator towards other minority groups. But white women separating themselves from their male counterparts the moment that shit gets real is not a new concept. For example, the feminist movement, the moment that white women needed a leg up in America, they recruited Black women with promises of working together so they can get equal and fair benefits, right? The moment that white women were able to stand up, they stood right on top of Black women. Ever since Black people gained civil rights in the 1960s, white women have actively voted side by side with their male counterparts against Black and brown people. Prior to that, always remember the most horrific Black Wall Street, the most horrific things that happened on American soil, especially the Black and brown people, were instigated, fabricated, and manufactured by white women. And instead of having an actual come to Jesus moment, they will gaslight you and tell you that they knew nothing about this. People, learn your history.
Okay, this is all facts. Okay, no lies detected. And here's the thing. Who was out there recruiting Black women for the feminist movement besides Gloria Steinem? Okay, and she worked for the CIA. Okay, she'd worked for the CIA at the end of the day. So what do y'all think that was all about? That was the government. Okay, that was a government operation. All right, please pay attention. Because this woman, Gloria Steinem, worked with organizations. Now listen to this. She worked with organizations secretly funded by the CIA in the late 1950s, leading American students to international youth festivals as part of the Cold War effort, a fact she has openly acknowledged, defended her actions as honorable work with liberal people, though she was not a direct field agent, but led a CIA-funded front group, okay, called the Independent Research Service. It was also called the IRS, okay, back then. I want y'all to pay attention. Now, with that all being said, the feminist criticism. Now, many feminists criticized her involvement when they found out she's working with the CIA-funded groups, but she consistently defended it as an honorable undertaking for fostering democratic ideals against Soviet influence. Okay, she described it as something positive, basically finding the CIA agents she worked with liberal and nonviolent, and stated she would do it again if given the choice, believing it was about promoting open exchange, not dictation. So like I said, you want a CIA operative to lure Black women into a cause that Black women had nothing to do with it. And sadly, some Black women are still feminists till this day. The ones going around here talking about, I'm a strong Black woman, I don't need no man. I bet you do need a man. Okay, if ICE comes knocking at your door, you're going to need one. Please sit down somewhere. Okay, the feminist movement, we had no business even entertaining the idea. As I said previously, our Black men have never, okay, they have never oppressed us. Now let's continue.
Personal level, on a one-to-one level, it's that the United States is always going to be a threat to leaders with whom it disagrees, right? If you are Nicolas Maduro, if you are Manuel Noriega, if you are Saddam Hussein, things could get bad for you. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying it's legal. I'm saying it's the reality. Number one. Number two, in a very odd way, this was a reassertion of the Monroe Doctrine. Now, the Monroe Doctrine dates to, the 18 teens, the early 19th century, saying that the Western Hemisphere should be free of foreign intervention. And what that meant in 1814 was British naval intervention. Well, first of all, on a personal level, on a one-to-one level, it's that the United States is always going to be a threat to leaders with whom it disagrees, right? If you are Nicolas.
Okay, so with that all been said, listen, the United States is going to be a problem for leaders that they disagree with when you have somebody like Trump in office, because the rest of the presidents that we've had have common sense, critical thinking skills, I hope, and they would be able to sit down and have talks, okay, and negotiate. But see, Trump's one of those people that wants to rule with an iron fist, and everything has to go his way or it won't go at all. Then he starts making all these nefarious threats, even going so far as to threaten strong allies of the United States. Okay, as if these people can all turn on us, okay, and bring us the smoke. Please pay attention.
White folks really ain't mad enough for me, because how they kill a white woman in cold blood? They kill one of y'all's in cold blood. Y'all out there protesting, throwing snowballs at them. Snowballs? Ain't nobody pick up a brick, pick up a stone, a pipe, nothing? Snowballs? The truth is, y'all expect Black people to do that heavy lifting when it comes to fighting. That has always been a trend when it comes to protesting. But Black folks are sitting it out. The change is up to y'all. Y'all want change in America? You guys are the majority population. You got to bring change. Just like white people got Trump elected and they brought in all of this craziness, y'all have to start to undo this now. And that's the point where they're killing white folks. So that means that race stuff, none of that matters. It's all out the window. But you can see that people have really been comfortable with reaping the benefits of white supremacy and letting other people suffer in America while they sit back and watch. White folks really ain't mad enough for me, because how they kill a white woman in cold blood? They kill one of y'all's in cold blood. Y'all out there protesting, throwing snowballs at them. Snowballs? Ain't nobody pick up a brick, pick up a stone, a pipe, nothing? Snowballs?
Okay, so listen, you guys, I want you all to hear this man, what he has to say, because this is the one that tried to guilt us for not coming outside. Please pay attention.
Something, and this is gonna probably rub some people the wrong way and maybe upset some people, but here's the thing. In this whole situation with Renee Good, she was a white woman who was murdered by a federal agent, and we have seen protests over her killing. And some people in the Black community who feel marginalized by the atrocities that have happened in their community at the hands of law enforcement feel like white people never stand up for them, but black people always stand up for incidences like Renee. And I just want to say, listen, I understand the emotional situation, but you have to look at reality. White people in this country have been standing up for black people to their own detriment in many cases for hundreds of years. The Revolutionary War took the lives of 320,000 white Americans who were fighting to free black Americans. And in the civil rights movement, there's so many millions of white people who supported that, who were there with them. And today we have white people like me who say racism, bigotry is wrong, and it must be eradicated from our society in order for us to have a good society. So I understand the history of it, and I understand the emotional pain of it. I do. I get you. I'm with you. And I'm not blaming you for feeling this way. I'm not. This isn't a criticism of you. What I am going to say, though, is when you say no white people ever do anything, you're discrediting the sacrifice of millions of white people who stand with you. And though we cannot compare our sacrifice to yours, what we can do is stand together. So don't discredit that, because when you put negativity out there, you end up dissuading people from standing with you. Instead, put positivity out there. Encourage more white people to stand with you, that we should all stand together. An attack on the Somali Muslim community should outrage African American Christian community as much as it does the Muslim community. This is how we overcome and defeat Nazis and racism and bigotry. We do it with positivity and unity. That is what we need. It doesn't matter if Renee was white. If she'd have been black, Latino, whatever, we all need to have.
Easier said than done, because if she was white or black or Latina, do we think he would have been out there? Sir, please don't come to us with the BS. Okay, please don't come out here trying to tell us what we need to do. Okay, I find it all so interesting. And here's the thing. I absolutely have always, and you all know it, those of you that have been following me for years, you already know that I have always spoken about one woman in particular. And that's this beautiful lady right here. Okay, that's this beautiful lady right here. This is Viola Luisa. Let me tell y'all something, how they run game. They want to act like they're so shocked and appalled that Renee Good got shot in the face. They know that white men have a history of killing white women if they feel like they get out alive. Because this woman right here, Viola Luisa, was killed by the KKK, okay, on March the 25th of 1965. Why was she killed? For her activism in the for the civil rights movement, specifically for participating in the Selma to Montgomery voting rights march. Okay, she was taking activists, black folk, between cities when the KKK, they were in a car and they chased her and they shot her in her face. That's what they did, viewing her as an outsider and a race mixing agitator. Okay, her murder involved an FBI informant who was in the car with the Klan. This all shocked the nation and helped to spur the passage of the Voting Rights Act. Okay, please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, sorry if you all hear some background noise. I have somebody in here doing something. Now, with that all being said, though, I want you all to pay attention, because they took this woman's life because she was a white mother of 5 from Detroit. Okay, she answered the call to Dr. Martin Luther King for volunteers to support him in the Selma March for Voting Rights, saying that it was everybody's fight, and she was right. But here's the difference between her and the people out there right now. Many of these people are MAGA. Okay, these are people that voted for Donald Trump. These are people that voluntarily went to the polls. They didn't care what he was going to do to black people. They didn't care what he was going to do to immigrants. But now, because it's happening to them, they have buyer's remorse. And now they want to try to shame us and blame us and make us feel bad and obligated to get out there and boots on the ground. No, I'm sorry, sir. We've already done all this stuff for decades. Y'all saw the video footage of the dogs and the hoses being sprayed on Black people, the Black women's breasts being bitten by wild dogs that they allowed to be unleashed on them, Dr. King being spat upon and dragged away to jail. Please miss us with it. We've done it all, seen it all, and been at the front lines. So don't you dare try to get mad or feel some type of way about us, because we're not coming out right now. Okay? Because we're not coming out right now. All right, shout out to Viola Louisa. May she rest in peace forever. She would never have supported Trump. She would never have supported a person like Trump at the end of the day. That's why I will always hold her in high regard. I will always respect her sacrifice. Okay, I will always shout out her name, as I always have, because she was a person who had a pure and humble heart. At the end of the day, she stood up and put herself in the line of fire and lost her life for a fight that she did not have to entertain. Okay, but here's the thing. Don't act like Black people haven't done the same for some of you. All right. Don't act like Black people have not been there for some of you. And even till this day, we see that a Black man dragged a wanted supremacist by the name of Jake Lang out of the line of fire and helped him to escape to safety, even though he was yelling for a race war. But guess what? That's one good Black man who had it in his heart to do what Jesus would do. But some of us, we're not going to do what Jesus would do. Not for devils. Not for devils who voted for this BS. Okay, I'm sorry, but no deposit, no return. Period. Okay, that's just what it is. You can be mad all you want. Okay, you can be mad all you want. At the end of the day, we're going to sit this one out. Like I told you all, when it comes to our front door, well, that's when we'll do what we have to do. Okay, whatever that entails. Okay, but guess what? One thing about it is we're going to move smart. Okay, we're going to move smart, because whatever we do, y'all are not going to know about it until we do it. So miss us with it in the meantime, in between time. And y'all can take these fraudulent Black Panthers and y'all can get them to help you. They talking tough. Go to join them. Okay, they're out here talking big and bad, talking about what they'll do to ICE. Okay, please go cry to them in a bucket. Don't come to us, because we're not here for any of the BS. Please pay attention. All right, so let's go to the next clip. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance.
I saw a Hispanic boy that came on here and said that Hispanics really think that Black people are beneath them. And he started to talk about the things and conversations that he had with his family. And let me just add to that, okay? They can think what they want. Delusion is a real thing. Because imagine thinking that you are beneath Black people, but it's not Black people who are being dragged out of the dragged in the streets, okay, and turned every which way but loose. You're being deported any and everywhere, sometimes not even back to your home country, okay? So if you want to be delusional, you go right the fuck ahead. And then for those that saying, oh, well, y'all now see that it's not just us, it was never really about y'all. Y'all was always collateral, but y'all was just also delusional because of the complexion that you thought was protecting you, the hair texture that you thought made you fit in. The reality is that they don't like your ass either, but y'all so delusional. That's the reason why Eureka is also a part of ICE agents and also the part of the organization, one of the leaders of the Proud Boys. Because
because some people were online asking, where are the Proud Boys? Okay, where are the Proud Boys? Oh, their Proud Boys are out there. They're out there, boots on the ground. You just don't recognize them because they have on ICE uniforms. Please pay attention. I told you all this days ago. Okay, LeVar says, weren't they just saying Black fatigue not too long ago? You already know they were, beloved. That's exactly what they were saying. They tired of Black people. Okay, y'all were tired of Black people hearing us complain and seeing us get out there and protest and all of that, telling us we should have stayed home and all of that. Police out there dressed in riot gear like they're going to war in Iraq, okay, attacking our people and all of that. No, we don't have time for it today. Okay, not today.
Hispanic people are delusional.
And LeVar, thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings.
And this is the reason why there are a lot of Hispanic fucking ICE agents, literally talking in Spanish as they grabbing somebody off the fucking roof or trying to coerce somebody to come out of somebody's house speaking fucking Spanish. Cause you guys are delusional. Y'all don't like each other either. Y'all are just hateful motherfuckers, if I'm being honest. But being beneath you, baby, if it wasn't for black folks, they wouldn't be trying to dismantle the Constitution. There would be no need for it. If we were still enslaved, they would not try to dismantle the Constitution. They would have kept things right the way the fuck it was because it was beneficial to them. The reason why now they're trying to get rid of the Constitution is because there was 2 black presidents. And since there's been 2 black presidents, they feel like that Constitution no longer benefit them. Let's go ahead and throw that shit right out and go back to having a king and authoritarianism, because we didn't know that it would allow black people to have white people to have the superiority that they've had for years. So you guys are not like either, because think about it. If you were so much better than black people, why the fuck are they grabbing y'all up out the streets? Why are they just going up to you and asking you for your paperwork? Why are they removing y'all from y'all kids' school while leaving y'all kids in a car by themselves? Why are white people now having to jump in front of bullets because black people chose to sit this one out? Because of y'all anti-blackness, and y'all loud about it and proud about it. And as long as you continue to be loud and proud, the many of us is going to sit this one the fuck out.
Okay, so please pay attention, because at the end of the day, no lies were detected. There was no lies detected, okay? Yeah, we're going to sit this one out. Tristan said we had 1 black president. Well, she's likely talking about Abe Lincoln, because they say Abe Lincoln was in fact a mulatto, beloved. Okay, that's who she's talking about. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this video from Tizzy ENT.
I got a question, if I may. What happened to the Proud Boys? Where are the Proud Boys with everything that's going on in the world? All these people out here protesting ICE, standing up against ICE, standing up against law enforcement. That's like the Proud Boys' whole thing, to go counter protest, right? Remember BLM? When that movement was happening, boy, they were out in force, running their mouths, putting hands on people. Where'd all of these black and yellow fellas go? Now that ICE is out and dealing with so much opposition, why aren't the Proud Boys out there helping them? Oh, wait, they are. They're just in different outfits now. The Proud Boys, yeah, one of its founders, Enrique Tarrio, in a leak, has been named as a member of ICE. He's not officially with the Proud Boys anymore. Doesn't need to be. They formed a new team. So it would appear what happened to the Proud Boys was they all got promotions, and they're getting paid to do what they do now.
Okay, absolutely. No lies detected. No lies detected at all. Okay, please pay attention. The Proud Boys have now joined ICE. And I reported this to you all days ago. And Enrique Tarrio is now trying to lie and say he's not in it. I don't believe him. He's now saying he's not ICE. I don't believe him. Because we all know that ICE doesn't want to be identified. That's why they wear their face masks, because they don't want people coming for them, okay, for what they're out here doing. And Marjorie says Proud Boys and Oath Keepers too. Exactly. That's why I told you all the other day. I said, where are the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers? Okay, and the rest of their militias. Please pay attention, because we already know that previously, before all of this, they would already deputize their militias. Okay, we know that's what they would do. And so they've done it once again. They just made them ICE. All right, please pay attention. Now, with that all been said, let's go to Brother Phil Scott and what he has to say about the shenanigans. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance.
This for 13 years. And I remember you in particular were saying some things when law enforcement was taking the lives of Black Americans for a whole lot less. You see, as Black Americans, we don't go get ourselves in the middle of a law enforcement operation. Even the most law-abiding among us do not go in the middle of any kind of law enforcement operation. If the police are here, we go over here. We don't even want to talk to cops a lot of the times, because we lose our life for really a lot less. If there was a Black American in that vehicle, it wouldn't even got that far. All of them would have unloaded their guns on her. So she had privilege enough to feel that she can go and buck them and mess with them. Black Americans know, but I've been doing this for
Now, the last thing I want you all to listen to, and I'm going to conclude the broadcast, but I will be back later. Okay, but I want you all to hear this. As a white woman calls centuries of Black people suffering, basically she's romanticizing it. I want you all to pay attention to how she talks about the things that we've gone through as if it has benefited us or what have you. Okay, please pay attention.
A privilege. I know that sounds crazy to being, having to do more than us and having gone through so much. I think that we've heard a lot about spirituality, but I feel like because you guys have gone through so much, there's like an enlightenment to you. I always feel such a draw and just so seen in a way that I don't feel as much with white people, I would say. So, I mean, I will just say that I feel like you guys are magnets, and I hope that your voice gets heard more, because I think that there has been a lot of trauma of just invisibility, and your way of rising through it and still being survivors and stuff. I don't know, I've always felt like it's been super special. And I'm so thankful for the relationships that I've had.
Shit, not the bridge being built.
Not
the bridge.
I will never forget, let me just say, when I was younger, I will never forget looking over as a young kid and seeing a Black man get out of a Mercedes and something, I was like, that's success. And there's just always that vision. And I know it doesn't have to be like a superficial symbol, but there was just something implanted in me as a young kid. And I had a buzzed head when I was young, and I felt like I think I've allowed myself to see that, like, having shorter hair as a female, like I haven't seen myself a lot on, in the media. And I've heard that be a complaint of a lot of other people of not feeling that represented. So I think kind of feeling othered a lot in my own world in just a small way had made me feel like a kinship. And so I think that while there's privilege to being white, I feel like there's another privilege that doesn't get spoken about of actually having to suffer, because those are the people that really know how to like have resilience and rise up and actually.
Now I want you all to pay attention to what this witch just said. Don't miss the message, honey. This Karen just sat up there and compared herself to the struggles of Black people because she had short hair. Is she serious right now? Okay, and then she said our suffering is a privilege because it has made us resilient. Did y'all hear this? The gall of you, Karen. Please sit down somewhere. But a Black woman will put her in check. Don't worry.
Actually listen and just thrive. So
I know that we were just celebrating the bridge you made, and I don't want to tear it down, but I think
Now I want you all to see this Black woman. Okay, that's the one that's going in.
had a different response seemingly than the rest of the room to that. I know that you mean well by that, and I can see that you're very genuine. I have a really hard time sitting with the idea that the significant trauma that the Black community has experienced in this country has made us enlightened, and that there's like this beautiful spiritual quality that it's given us. Because I think it feels, and maybe I'm just speaking to the way that's landed for myself, like a huge bypassing of how genuinely traumatic that is, to be like, well, look at you, like you're radiant now.
I'm not saying that.
I'm
saying
that's
that, like,
the way that
you've been through something, whereas like we're over here and who knows how much we've even been through.
Yeah, and like I'm not.
But you've also rolled your eyes at so many people that have been speaking, so I don't know if that's your.
I mean, a lot of really insane things have been said.
I don't know if that's your immediate response is just to roll your eyes. I might not have the best like language with it, but I know that like on a soul level, like I feel I have a lot of awe and respect.
And I appreciate that a lot.
Take it where you can get it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. All I'm saying is this idea that somehow having endured what the Black community has endured in this country and coming out the other end, barely surviving, there are people right now who are not surviving, that's somehow a privilege is ludicrous. And like, maybe what you said completely landed wrong with me, but that's how I took all of that. And that's all that's all.
Yeah, that's how she took it, because that's what it was given. She sat up there and said that basically it's a privilege. The trauma that we've suffered for decades is a privilege. All of the heinous things that we've gone through, the atrocities, it's a privilege. Or is she basically trying to say that that's helped to strengthen us? Okay, that's made us resilient. So we should be glad that we've endured these things. Is that what she's saying? Because that's what it sounds like she's saying. Girl, sit down somewhere. And these are the same women that want us to come out there and protest. This is exactly why I'm staying home. Okay, closing my blinds, cutting on the TV, and watching a movie on Netflix and eating popcorn. Okay, this is why. Now, as I said, she romanticized our pain, the audacity. See, sometimes they don't even realize how they further prove our points. All right, Robert says, "Cry me a river." Exactly. All right, please pay attention. This is all nefarious. Nene said, "You see how she redirected, saying the black girl rolled her eyes?" Yes, yes, now she's the victim. Oh, you guys have been sitting there rolling your eyes at pretty much some of the things that have been said. That's because y'all are talking damn crazy. That's because y'all sound obtuse. Okay, that's why she's rolling her eyes. Okay, they're not trying to hear your BS. You cannot sit there and justify or try to act like our pain and trauma that we've suffered for decades and centuries is a good thing. Okay? Because when you do that, you're not accepting accountability for what your low down people did to us, the racist amongst you, what they in fact did. All right? So these are the people I'm supposed to go out here and protest for? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. And here's another thing. How do we know if Renee Nicole Good, okay, was even somebody that was an ally to us? We don't. We don't. Okay? We don't. So with that all being said, I'm going to mind my own black business because that's what pays me. Okay? It doesn't pay for me to go out there and put my life on the line for people who have historically oppressed people who look like me and still continue to do so to this day. Okay? Now, the man who spoke about us needing to come out trying to shame and blame us or make us feel guilty, listen, buddy, I'll say this to you in closing. At the end of the day, we do absolutely appreciate the white people who have stood by us, okay, who have walked with us, linked arms, and all of that. But we don't appreciate MAGA voting Trump into office only to find out that he would attack them as well if they didn't go along with the program or if they showed any type of resistance to what he was saying or doing. And now they want to have buyer's remorse. Okay, now they want to return on their investment. They invested in the Trump administration. So now everything that comes with it is what they ordered. Okay? When the trouble comes knocking at our door, that's when we'll stand up and do what needs to be done. Until then, I must bid you all adieu. Okay? Please miss us with it. With that all being said, and listen, quite frankly, beloveds, I don't know. I don't know how bad it's going to get, but I promise you it's going to get a whole lot worse. Okay? It's going to get a whole lot worse. So with that all being said, listen, I'll be back to I was about to say tomorrow, but I'll be back today. Okay? I will absolutely be back today. And hold on. Roddy says black people have always understood a few good white Americans have helped us. A few lost their lives helping us. Exactly. We know that and we appreciate that. Another person who lost their life for us is John Hyde. They need to make a movie about this man. This man was killed in the 1800s. He was killed simply because he referred to black men as countrymen when he addressed the crowd. He said to my fellow countrymen, and black people were in the crowd, specifically black men. They shot him for that. That was actually the first political assassination that they really speak about. When this man lay dying, okay, as he lay dying, he wrote in his own blood, "Please tell my wife, Sarah, that I love her and take care of Amy and Haley." I believe that was the other daughter's name. They let that man sit there and die and bleed out for even acknowledging or showing respect, common decency to the black men in the crowd. John Hind, Hind, that was his name. Okay, may he too rest in peace. All right, I want you all to pay attention to the nefariousness and the shenanigans and trying to make us feel blamed and shamed. It's not going to work. Okay, so with that all being said, I'm sorry, beloveds. I was trying to take something off my screen that popped up. Now, with that all being said, like I told you all, I'll be back tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow. I'll be back later on today, probably around 6:30 or 7. Okay, so until then, I hope you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got